What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires, and I did not expect to be doing a second video today. However, I was unable to open up a web browser, maybe like some of you, without being smacked in the face with this headline, something to do with DC and the DCEU possibly being bought by and merged with Disney, where Marvel Studios obviously already has its home. And while this is an ultra example of journalistic maybe some of the worst I've ever seen, and I'm going to explain how this went telephone times 10 with all of these Instagram posts. There is some truth to the original utterance, and yes, Disney did end up on a short list of people who could possibly step up and buy the DCEU, which may in fact be for sale and right around the corner. We're going to break this all down, explain where this story originated. No, it wasn't clickbait, just from a much different sector of news than we normally cover, explain how it got to the point that it got to today, and separate all the fact from fiction when it comes to the DCEU and DC now being on sale with Disney as a possible buyer. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5 now at 900,000 subscribers, as well as Disney Plus subscriptions every week while the shows are live, and we'll be announcing a brand new giveaway when Loki goes live in just a couple of weeks. If you want to be entered to win, all you have to do, hit that sub button, then leave a comment down below, and if you want, stick around to the end of the video. We'll get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So I'm going to say that it was a lot of speculation posted in sort of an op-ed way from some very reputable news sources that led to a lot of the headlines that you would have already seen today. There was definitely a dropping of the ball when it came to journalistic standards in trying to explain what was said. Now, this comes from CNBC. Not a trade we normally cover here at the channel. Actually, I wouldn't call it a Hollywood trade at all. It's a totally different kind of publication. Under the headline, the Warner Media Discovery deal was structured to make the future sale easier. Now, when I say Warner Media Discovery, if that's new to you, that's because earlier this week, AT&T announced it was merging Warner Media with Discovery Incorporated. Now, if that sounds weird to you right off the bat, it is for a couple of reasons. First of which, it puts Warner Brothers, HBO Max, DC Films in the same exact place as, well, Animal Planet and the Food Network. Also, when AT&T first bought Time Warner back in the day for like almost $100 billion, they had to fight this antitrust lawsuit, and they eventually won. That's why they changed the name from Time Warner to Warner Media, but now they're just giving all that up by merging it actually over with Discovery. It de-integrates it from AT&T. It was an odd move for obviously a couple of reasons. Now, some industry insiders pointed to this and said, hey, that was Disney's strategy back when they bought Hulu and they assembled all these brands like ESPN. They could be lining up to make their own streaming play where you have the likes of HGTV alongside DC movies. You have a ton of content and diversified content at that in the same place. Maybe they're lining themselves up for a play at the streaming market. Well, that would be the furthest thing from them selling the DCEU and DC to Disney, right? So how did we get here in the last 48 hours? Well, cue the second round of articles. And it's this next article we're going to talk about specifically that was posted by CNBC back on May 18th. Under their tech section with the headline, the Warner Media Discovery deal was structured to make a future sale easier. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take what I consider to be about 6 very boring paragraphs and explain them in 2 sentences. Basically, here's the deal. It doesn't look like they're going to make a play at the streaming market at all. In fact, the opposite, because the right, or should I say the wrong people, waived all of their rights, the stuff that they would want to keep if they cared about the future of the company. And then this paragraph, halfway down the article, is the one that sort of spurned all of this news today. This is what it had to say. Malone agreed to turn in those shares for common equity because he wanted to give combined Warner Discover flexibility to sell itself in the future. Basically dismiss himself from all of the responsibility and voting rights because he wants to give it sovereignty so it can be sold. Most likely to a, quote, deep-pocketed technology company like Amazon or Apple, Amazon obviously with their Prime platform, Apple wanting to get in the game, or another media behemoth like Disney, according to a person familiar with the matter. Now let's back up for just a second. A person, quote unquote, familiar with the matter could actually just be a tech analyst or someone who used to work for one of these companies. A company like Disney is not Disney, and this doesn't mean that they're actively trying to sell the DC to Disney. Disney is an obvious example to name because they have the resources and the experience and the streaming platform to be able to step up and buy this. And of course, because they have the MCU, a very successful superhero franchise, they're the first to come to mind as a home for the DCEU, but not so fast. They mentioned Amazon there because Amazon's a real player. In fact, when The Expanse got canceled, Jeff Bezos just stepped up, bought the show, put it on Amazon Prime, and funded it. And not only that, Prime has some experience in the superhero realm with a franchise like The Boys. Now, are The Boys, a couple of seasons of that, a far cry from running a cinematic universe? Of course, but DC hasn't done so great at that themselves anyway. I don't think anybody would mind if somebody else took a shot taking the reins. I mean, shoot, Star Wars is just figuring it out for themselves right now, and they're already at Disney. My basic point is there would be a lot of players immediately in the game to step up and buy Warner Discovery. There are a ton of already established brands in this conglomerate. Shoot, some of these channels have been on TV for a couple of decades. It's not just the DC properties, even though that as a fan base are what we're going to cue in on. There's a lot going on at Warner Discovery that doesn't have anything to do with DC Comics or the DCEU. All of this being said, another article out there mentioned that Kevin Feige could be instrumental in helping build the DCEU. That's simply what he said. He said Kevin Feige definitely could help with that. Of course he could. He's the architect of the most successful cinematic universe in the history of the world in cinema. He could basically build a cinematic universe out of some really bad reality TV shows and probably make it work. But that doesn't mean he's going to want to. For the same reason, it doesn't mean Disney's going to want to buy DC. Now, does Disney want to buy anything of value? Probably. Everyone over there really likes money, and you have to imagine that when and if this finally goes on sale, Warner Discovery Incorporated, this huge lot of media, there's going to be a ton of people at play. I guarantee you Amazon is going to step up for that as well. And no one's trying to play favorites here. They just want the biggest bottom dollar. You have to wonder if Disney has any real interest in this at all and what's at stake for their streaming platform that is already showing the most promising of numbers, which brings me to my last very important but final point. The whole reason for this merger in the first place, from some insider industry analysts said, it was because the original buy was too expensive. You know, we take for granted that these companies just make a ton of money and are doing well, but Sony has been very publicly struggling for a very long time. Basically, Spider-Man is keeping them afloat. And while some of you may sort of share the same immediate trepidation I feel when I hear about DC as a brand being owned by the same creatives and parent company in Disney that owns Marvel Studios, it's not exactly as though Warner Brothers treated that brand with any respect over the last 2 decades, especially as it pertains to their cinematic universe. So supposing I should keep an open mind here, maybe they could do it a lot of good. But guys, there is a wide range of reaction I want to hear from you guys in the comments for sure. Would you be nervous about DC being owned by Disney just like Marvel? Do you think that it's probably a bad idea for the same creatives in the same bottom dollars to be owning all of the superhero IP? Also, where would you like to see some of these end up? Do you think Prime could do a great job? What do you think the future for the DCEU is? And if you had it your way and it's not Kevin Feige, what producer or creative or director would you put in charge of your favorite DC franchise? I want to know. Put it all down in the comments. I read through as much of it as I can. You guys have been great recently with your responses. It's super interesting, super interactive. Let me know down in the comments, and quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we're still giving away a PlayStation 5 now at 900,000 subscribers. Assume we'll be giving away PlayStation 5s at the channel, well, until they come out with PlayStation 6. We're also giving away Disney Plus subscriptions while the shows are live, and when Loki goes live in just a couple of weeks, we'll have a brand new Loki-related giveaway that also pertains to the Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen, and Tom Hiddleston specifically. You guys will see when we announce it here in just a couple of weeks. Either way, if you want to get entered to win any of these giveaways, it's super simple, and all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then make sure to leave a comment down below. Because it's truly random, all you have to do, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content in order to do that better is, of course, to hit the notification bell with notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name is Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Twitter and Instagram at IamFires. You can also find me with original music under All Fires on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, anywhere you get your original music, I'm there under All Fires. Thanks so much for checking out the channel, guys, and stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.